All right, so we've shifted all of our prep over to Philly today. The players are in the building. This morning we'll spend more as a Wednesday for our early down preparation. We'll come back after a lunch break and really shift this afternoon into a Thursday. Hit our third down, hit our 2 minute, introduce a little bit of the red area this afternoon. As far as on the field work, our priority is really getting the players' bodies back and make sure they're healthy and full speed on Thursday. So we'll operate mostly out of walkthrough pace today. There's a couple players with the trainers we're going to have to move around and take a look at them to determine where they're going to be for Thursday night. We'll take an early look at some of those guys today, but for the most part, it'll be a walkthrough for the remainder of the team. That being said, our focus going to Philly, this is definitely an explosive team on all sides of the ball. Howie's done a great job building this team with a lot of depth and playmakers. Obviously starting with Doug does a great job calling the offense and really isolating matchups. This is an explosive team in the run game and the pass game, can make plays at any turn. Anywhere the ball is on the field, they're looking to get the thing in the end zone. They do a great job on situational football. So on third down, red area, and 2 minute, we've got to really elevate our level of play to be effective against these guys. They do a great job. Defensively, Schwartz is one of the top guys in the league. I think does a great job with his rush, crush, chase mentality. His players play hard. They play disciplined. They don't do a ton, but what they do very, very well. And you watch that defensive front, they're very deep, they're loaded. They rotate their players equally throughout so they stay fresh throughout the game. They do a great job of getting after the passer, but then more importantly with that, they're very disruptive in creating negative runs and really affecting you on early downs to put you in those third and long situations where they can really get after the passer. And Dave Phipps always done a great job on special teams. I have a tremendous amount of respect for Dave. He's got explosive units. They've been phenomenal in the return game throughout his tenure there in Philly. And they're one of the best block teams every year in the league, whether it's field goal block or pump block. So it's an aggressive mindset on all sides of the ball. They make big plays in all phases. This is a team that no matter where you're at in the game scoreboard-wise, we all saw last week and multiple weeks before, they can score at any time. They can close the lead. But this is a team you definitely don't want to fall behind on. They're very explosive. So that being said, I'd like to open up for any questions I can answer for you at this time.
I just asked you about Carson Wentz. A lot of struggles it looked like early on. How have you seen his game these last couple of weeks? It looks like he's using his legs a little bit more. He had a 40-yard run against the Ravens. How do you see his game?
This guy's a playmaker. I think sometimes some of the things that's getting lost right now are some of the things that they've hit bumps in the road on. Like, let's be clear, this is a really good football team. This is a really good football team. Let's not make any mistakes about that. And really, offensively, it all goes through number 11 for them right there. He's a big-arm quarterback, Ed, can make any throw he needs to on the field. So you got to defend the entire field. And what that does is that opens up the deep balls with guys like Jackson coming back this week and Alshon. And it also opens up the tight ends underneath and the running backs, and they're great catch-and-run running backs. So, you can create a screen or a check down for these guys, and it replicates the punt return and kick returns they kind of carved their way into the league with right now. So, I think Carson's doing a really good job. I think when he runs the ball, he's a big, physical, tough guy. He can extend plays. You can't just tackle this guy like any quarterback. You got to treat him like a running back in the open space. You got to wrap him up. You got to get him on the ground. This guy runs physical. You watch that run against Baltimore last week. He's not looking to get out of bounds. He's looking to extend it vertically and gain as many yards as he can. So, listen, this guy's a good quarterback. They make a lot of plays. They're an explosive team. And the other thing about this Eagles team is, look, this is not something new where they've had to change personnel and they've had bumps and bruises throughout a year. They do a phenomenal job of managing personnel, keeping everybody ready, and they string together whoever can play in the game, and they're very productive, very explosive, and there's a reason they've been so successful.
Thank you.
Tom Moore.
Hi, Coach. I wondered if you could talk about some of the lessons Coach Jim Algio that you learned from him that, impact what you do today.
Yeah, I think that, Coach Algio, first off, was very, very old school. The whole faith, family, football mantra that we had right there. I mean, he was definitely a guy that you looked up to and you respected, and you had a healthy fear of him when you're a high school kid playing on his team. And I think that kept a lot of us in line and really taught us a lot of valuable lessons. That being said, you play for him, for about 3 years, after freshman football is over, and you learn a lot about how to treat people, of how you can be hard on someone and discipline someone, and really let them know that you're doing it because you care about them. Look, he was a guy that meant a lot to me, had a very large impact on me, both as a person, as a husband and a father, and in my own coaching style right now. So, we talked all the time at LC about, kind of being the rare breed. We kind of looked at ourselves as we're a smaller school. We didn't have all the talent, but we knew on Friday nights that we could line up and play with anyone because we were going to play tough and we were going to play fundamentally sound.
Thank you.
Martin Frank. Hi, Joe. You talked a little bit earlier about Carson Wentz and everything, and I was kind of wondering if you see any similarities between him and Daniel Jones, especially with the way they extend plays and can make things happen with their legs.
I think you could draw some parallels in terms of they're both guys with good size. They're both guys that have the ability to run with the ball in their hand, and extend plays. I mean, both these guys make a lot of big throws down the field when they get outside the pocket, and they can really extend it and let the receivers work to get open. There's definitely parallels you could draw with them. But we have a ton of respect, obviously, in-house for Daniel, who we deal with on a daily basis. But there's a ton of respect for Carson across the division, across the league. This guy's a tough competitor. And, look, sometimes, how it is in Philly. I mean, look, it's a great town because people are very critical, very hard on you. And sometimes that highlights some of the things that aren't going as well. When you look from a different perspective and you see how you have to play the guy as an opponent, you understand all the things that he really does well and what he really adds as strengths, and he's really a very good player.
Bruce Beck.
Hey, Joe, with the opportunity that you have right now in the NFC East, with it being as wide open as it is, starting with the big game on Thursday, could you just share some thoughts with us on, is that something that you're going to discuss with your team at all? Is it something that you're looking at?
I don't think anyone in the division needs any motivation to play anyone else in the division. This is a big Thursday night game. We're going down to Philly. It's going to be a great atmosphere. They're going to have fans at the game. Obviously we haven't had a chance to play the Eagles yet this year, so it'll be a big atmosphere for us right there. To me, we're just trying to go 1-0 this week. That's our goal each and every week. I've told the players from the very beginning of the season, it's a long year. If you get too focused on looking, down the end stretch at this point right here, you don't see the light at the end of the tunnel. We got to keep grinding week by week, but the focus stays on being 1-0 each week. No matter what happened last Sunday, we got to come in with the same mindset to improve as a team, to improve individually, which will lead to our collective rising, and then to be able to match up our opponent and just play well for 60 minutes on Thursday night.
What is the Judge family ticket?
How many tickets are we for the family right now? I got to see. It's not fully decided. I talked to our in-house people about tickets. I've got a large number of cousins who have requested tickets as early back in the summer when the schedule is out. My wife and kids, I'll see if they can make it. The kids got school on Friday, so we'll kind of see how they're going to manage that. They've gone to school plenty of times tired before. Making games is something they don't like to miss. The opportunity that it's such a close game, and the opportunity that it's the first game that they're going to be available to go to with fans, they definitely don't want to miss it. So, my only rule is really anyone who shows up that I either grew up with or have, blood ties with, they got to wear blue. You know what I mean? I respect their love for the Eagles from being in the town, but, hey, look, man, you ain't showing up and cheering against my kid's Christmas now, so you better put on the blue and cheer for us.
Thanks.
Jordan.
Hey, Joe. You guys have lost, obviously you weren't here for most of this, but you guys have lost 7 straight to both the Cowboys and the Eagles, so 14 straight to those teams. What do you think about the idea that you guys can't be taken seriously in the division until you actually are able to beat one of these teams, or both of them?
Yeah, I really don't think about that at all, actually, Jordan. Our goal right now is prepare for this year's Eagles team. This is a different team than it was in the past. We're an improved team than we were in week 1, and we're an improved team than we were 7 days ago. So our only focus right now is getting ready for Philly. There's a lot of things that could be, drawn out or compared to. We don't focus on that. We've got enough to think about just getting ready for this offense, defense, kicking game unit.
So the Eagles present kind of a unique challenge with the Jalen Hurts factor, and they ran a couple plays the other day where both Carson and Hurts were in the backfield together. What's unique about Hurts, and how much more gap discipline do your defensive players have to be against him?
Yeah, I'd say the first thing about Jalen is the amount of respect I have for this guy just based on what he's done throughout his career to this point. I know he's young in the NFL, but look, I got a lot of friends who coached him in college. The way they talk about this guy as a teammate, as a leader, as a competitor. This guy won a lot of games in a very tough conference, won the ultimate prize at that level. He was replaced as a starter. This guy was a tremendous teammate, really had a captain-type leadership to him, transferred to another major school, was able to win a lot of games there. Look, I don't care what level this guy's been at. He's been successful. He definitely has the ability to run. That's something that they're doing a good job highlighting and using. But I wouldn't fall asleep at all on this guy throwing the ball. This guy's throwing for a lot of yards to a lot of really good players, against a lot of really good players as well, and he's been very productive. So I think the way they're using them obviously is very inventive. It's very productive for them right now. You have to be very aware of how they get them on the field. There's A lot of times they like to sneak them on there late and kind of try and see if you can make your, defensive call. And then all of a sudden, okay, now we got a different quarterback or multiple quarterbacks out there. You got to be aware of how they're doing things. That comes from, our communication on the sideline, our awareness within the game of the situation. Our players have to be tied in as well, not just, what personnel group is on the field, but specifically who's in that personnel group. Is it 11 personnel? Is it 11 personnel with Hurts at quarterback? What kind of personnel grouping is it? So they present a lot of different things. One thing they've always really been good at in Philly is scheming up certain plays per game plan and finding a way to really expose something you've shown from a previous game and work off almost a copycat play, if you would, but then put a curveball on the end of it that you're not expecting.
Thanks.
EJ?
Hey, Joe. I know you talked about it a little bit yesterday, but just how special is it to come back to the Link as a head coach?
Yeah, I guess I'm really just focused on the Eagles as an opponent right now, to be honest with you. I'm sure it'll be a little bit different riding down the street like it always is. You kind of get back in that town. But ultimately right now I'm just focused on the football part of it, and to me that's the most important thing I can do. Anytime your mind drifts a little bit down some other road, you better reset it pretty fast because they're not caring about someone coming home for some kind of homecoming tour. I mean, they're getting ready to try to beat us, and we got to have the same mindset to do the same to them.
With regard to Daniel, obviously it's a different system this year that he's running, but last year he had a number of games where he was slinging it around, had some big numbers, but obviously made a lot of mistakes, a lot of rookie mistakes. I'm just kind of curious if you can speak to the line that you try to walk here to try to keep the mistakes down, but you still want him to sling it around and maybe win the ball game.
I think Daniel's done a good job of operating within what the game plan is and how the plays have been called for him. So, look, we want him to be aggressive. We just want him to be smart. So there's times where our game plan may include throwing a thing down the field on deep passes, and there's times where it may be nickel and dime you a little bit, get the ball to some guys underneath and let them catch and run the ball. So whatever the defense presents us with and the opportunity arises, Daniel's job is really just to facilitate the other players by getting them the ball when they're open. So we're not really worried about stats here. That's not something that fuels anything we're doing. We come out of the game, I'm really evaluating how he played within what was presented to him, within play calls and situations, and that's the evaluation for all of our players and all of our coaches as well. We're not a stats-driven organization. There's really only one thing that matters. There's a couple key critical factors that lead into having success in the NFL. The other stuff is a lot of just fluff.
We have time for one more. Zach? Hey, Joe, I actually had a non-football question for you. The election is in 2 weeks, and I was just curious if you've spoken to the guys at all about the importance of voting and everything that comes with that.
Yeah, to be honest with you, we did back in the spring. We talked when we started all the social justice things and the team-to-team stuff. We spoke about voting. My take on it is, look, I'm not a very political person to begin with. But the one thing I've just kind of voiced to the team, and they've voiced to each other, and different teams have echoed on it, is, look, there's nothing more American than voting. I don't care who you vote for. You have an opinion. You have a right to exercise it. Get out there and use it. So, you can sit there and talk and whine and complain about whatever the hell's going wrong. But, in our system, this democracy, you do have a voice. You have a right. You have an opportunity to use it. So don't complain about it.